Greetings everybody on another charming sunny afternoon. So for this afternoon's entertainment, so when we look at the path of meditation, what are we actually doing here? What are we aiming for? And so the vast majority of you have been doing a little bit of practice over the last couple of months, or probably 5 or 10 years, and so you get like an intuitive feel for the meditation practice, because essentially when you're developing the path, developing both the path of samadhi and insight, it's very much like an intuitive experience, because when it comes to personal development, no one really knows you better than yourself. So, one comes to know all the strengths and weaknesses in one's character, all the attachments, and all the different, the vast range of feelings and emotions that you pass through with this particular path. But so when you're actually doing this practice, that it's essentially unavoidable that you're going to experience quite a large part of your personality, your makeup. Because, how can you possibly let go of anything whatsoever if you don't actually experience your makeup, what actually constitutes yourself. You can't let go of anything until you actually know what that thing is, and have some kind of sort of reflective perspective on it. The vast majority of us, we like happiness and joy and positivity and good relations with other people, and but that's only sort of like one side of this practice, and then we have to deal with all those sort of garden variety little nuances and say potential irritations and moods that we get, but it's a matter of how you work with this stuff. And so so when things are going very, very well, and life is joyful and pleasant, you just don't completely lose yourself in these say fabulous feelings that we have. And so because when you look at the overview of your experience, you've got, say, in a nutshell, you've got happiness, joy on one side, and then suffering, despair, on the other. You're looking at like two extremes. So what you're actually aiming for is moving back towards a central point, a point of stability, because you really, if you've got another 20, 30, 40 years, you don't want to be sort of swinging too widely between extremes of elation and on the other hand an extreme of depression. You want to come back to, say, a point of stability, and so that that point of stability is essentially the Buddha's middle path, and because it's far better to have the mind in a very balanced, stable, peaceful state than to essentially to go to extremes, because your happiness is not going to last, your despair and suffering is not going to last. As far as the big picture is concerned. So what we're doing is as you go through all these different feelings, all these highs and lows, that with your, say, like reflective ability, coming to an understanding of how you think and why you think and why you feel the way you do, and why you get affected by different circumstances, people, different types of stresses and whatnot. When you get a better, say, a more deeper understanding of this business, then you increase your potential for the mind to relax and to let go. And so it's quite good to be peaceful and happy and whatnot, but your wisdom practice has to be, you have to keep it at the same level consistently, over 5, 10, 20 years plus, because the whole purpose of samadhi practice, of being peaceful and contented and whatnot is to develop your insight. Because there's no. I mean, samadhi. You need samadhi as a basis. You need some peace of mind, stability, clarity. So like awareness. But that's got like a workable limit. Your wisdom and insight's you've got to develop that to the same level, because you can have good, even with the monks, people from Thailand, Sri Lanka, you can have good samadhi for years and years and years, but if you don't actually make use of that, if you don't actually reflect on your experience, you can sort of waste quite a bit of time, because that peacefulness, even that deep tranquility, it's not a short principle. It's it can't last forever, and if you're under stress or things go wrong. Say, for example, they've had monks in Thailand who had very, very, say, good samadhi, or the potential of very good samadhi, and then they could have got incredibly sick, or there could have been a very bad accident where they lost maybe half their family, and so you get some very, 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 say, intense life experience coming your way, and it can really sort of really shake the person up, because samadhi is very, very, it's very, very, very sensitive, very fragile in a sense. Most people can't really go that deep with samadhi unless they're on at least a 7-9 day retreat, and there is a potential there to get a very, very good state, or maybe a handful of states. The potential's there, but you've got to, no matter how good or how poor you think your practice is, you've got to keep developing your insight continually, because your insight will have more strength, will have more ability to keep your mind in a, what's the word? Say like a reasonable state, like a workable state. Wisdom always has more power than samadhi, always, and that's the pinnacle point of the path. And so if you look at the pyramid, you've got all your foundation principles: sila, samadhi, panya, and then your insight is what actually frees you, and say frees you on a, say, like with your say for choice of words, say frees you from your human experience to a degree, but the ultimate wisdom the insight that you develop with the path, supported by good samadhi, will actually free you from from karma and rebirth on an ultimate level. So what I'll do with this particular session is we'll do a couple of things here. We'll start off with a loving kindness meditation for oneself for a couple of minutes, and then a body contemplation mantra for a couple of minutes. And that, the reason I do this is that has a very what's the word? It has an effect on the 5 hindrances, those 5 areas which block a person's, say, tranquility of mind. It's just a very easy way to sort of take the edge off those and get some calm, say, peacefulness of mind. So just to keep it sort of without getting too complicated, we'll use this particular mantra: may I be happy, successful and confident. May I be happy, successful and confident. So you can use any particular words that you like, and then we'll do that for at least because we've got a fairly decent session, at least 45 minutes. We'll do that for at least a couple of minutes, say 3 minutes, and then after that we'll use a very, say, like a light body contemplation mantra, like a nice easy one, like, say, skeleton skeleton. It may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I'm pretty sure you can handle it. Skeleton is, because I do this kind of stuff all the time, skeleton is changeable, or skeleton is changeable in nature. But with that particular one, we put big spaces between the words, so it's nice, and do it in a nice, relaxed fashion. And then we'll go to the breath meditation, and we'll focus around the mouth. I don't focus on the nose tip because it's too sharp. Most people can't hold that, it's just too fine. You focus on the mouth, you can feel all the sensations around the mouth very, very clearly. It's a very good place to focus one's attention, because you'll feel the breathing right on the edge, right on the periphery. Because if you go too broad, you go full chest, or you go to the abdomen, it takes much, much longer to get the tranquility. It's just too broad. So you really need to sort of narrow it down to a more fine range. But that one you tend to follow. People find it very easy to follow. So get yourself in a comfortable position with your back nice and straight, head upright, and in a comfortable position, nothing tight around the the waist, throat, ankles, and then it's good to have your legs crossed and have your hands together, because it helps to draw the bodily energy inwards. The way the chi flows in the body, it helps to draw the energy inwards. If you put your arms and legs all over the place, you can feel it straight away. The quality of the samadhi is nowhere near as good. But when you adopt a more orthodox posture, it tends to improve the energy flow as the mind calms down. So just close your eyes and use that particular mantra. May I be happy, successful, and confident. And just say it very, very slowly, and say it continuously for the next 3 minutes. Okay, now so we'll move across to the skeleton mantra, and this one will help to really sort of calm you down, this preparatory, say, calmness. And so the way we do this particular mantra is as you're breathing out, you say the words mentally, skeleton, and then breathing in, leave a space, breathing out is changeable. Breathing in, breathing out, skeleton. Breathing in, breathing out is changeable. So you just say the syllables with as we breathe out with the cycle, and just do that in a very spacious, relaxed way for the next, say, 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, now we'll move across to the breathing meditation. So if you can focus around the feelings around the mouth, and you'll feel the breath on the periphery. And in addition, if you feel a bit drowsy, just take nice, slow, deep breaths right into the base of the abdomen to increase your alertness. If you find that you're still thinking excessively, so move across to the wisdom practice and look exactly what's happening there. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And the reasons why and where and who and what circumstances. Because as you come to an understanding of particular mind states, which don't settle down, that as you explore them and understand them, then the mind relaxes and lets go, because you're in a situation where you have to actually teach oneself. The mind, the pivot, the absolute primal point of the mind is awareness. The main function of the mind is awareness. So you actually have to teach yourself to let go by developing an understanding of different thoughts and feelings in order to, to reduce the level of attachment. If you still find that your mind is very busy, you can help to ground the breathing meditation by doing a mantra with the breathing cycle based on the changeability of phenomena. So you can do little mantras like, say, thoughts are changeable, or feelings are changeable, or ideas, consciousness, perception, could be anything. The past, the future is changeable. And we do the mantra just breathing out. I do this for many, many hours a day. Breathing out, feelings. Then breathing in, breathing out are changeable. So that helps to ground your attention within a particular, parameter. We're coming towards the end of the session. If you can just reflect back and see if you can see any change in the peacefulness of the mind and what techniques actually work for you. I'll ring the gong 3 times so you can open your eyes when you're ready. So, question from Germany. Do you get insight from meditation or after you get out of meditation? Is insight a feeling? How do you define insight? So you can say insight in itself, you can call, say wisdom, understanding, say like all-round knowing like of a particular experience, mind state, phenomena. And you can get insight in the process of meditation because like samadhi is a cause for insight to arise. So as the meditation's rolling along, you can get insights arising at that point. Or you can, which you could call say like passive insight. And after you come out of the meditation, whether it's walking or sitting, you've used that samadhi as a basis to actively investigate your experience. So whatever you're going through, whatever's important to you, whatever, it could be anything whatsoever, and then you actually actively try to understand exactly what that experience is, in a say like a 360-degree perspective, not just one angle. So if you go to understand a particular experience, it's not just one take, not just one angle. You explore it from every single possibility. Question from the USA. That's a good one. In my opinion, what do you think is the number one most important purpose of meditation above all purposes? So I would say, if you're looking at on an ultimate level, say in brief terms, you could say peacefulness, like peacefulness on one side, which is the samadhi meditation, and wisdom on the other, which is one's insight or vipassana. So if you're looking at 2 key principles, which are quite important, say peacefulness of mind, tranquility, or wisdom or insight. But as many of you understand, that you can have at least half a dozen extra principles like patience, tolerance, kindness, compassion. It could be like intuition, all sorts of things, which come out of this, a very sort of simple meditation technique, because it's the meditation itself. It's refining your mind down, and then it's allowing all these underlying qualities to rise up. Question from India. Is it because we have a strong sense of self that we find letting go of thoughts difficult? So you're looking at a couple of angles there. So because we have a sense of self, the personality, all our loves and loves, hates, views and opinions, all these attachments that we have are basically can be sticking points to obstruct you from settling down, from getting peaceful. But there's another angle there as well. It's the ability, it's all connected, but it's an ability to actually let go of thinking. The reason why you just can't get incredible samadhi, so get the jhanas or very, very deep tranquility, is because you can't stop thinking. So you're attached to your thinking, And this thinking process, it's driven by your feelings. Your feelings are the energy which drive your thought processes. Because if you're emotionally very, very cool, like cool as a cucumber in a real sense, you would find it much easier to settle down, because we find that people who are very, I wouldn't say it's a loose term, but people who are very emotional tend to have, there's a tendency to have, say, strong attachments, because one of the characteristics of say non-attachment, the way you experience it is the mind is reasonably calm, relaxed. You don't feel incredibly strongly about things. You can be a sensitive person. You can have a sense of kindness and care, but you've got this kind of underlying equanimity. You just don't get completely blown away by things. If you're under a little bit of pressure, stress, things go wrong, and things like you patience, tolerance. There's quite a number of other qualities there as well, but it's sort of like it ties in together, the sense of self, who am I, and the sense of like me, and the inability to let go of thinking, but it all ties together. So, but essentially, for all of you, when some kind of attachment, a strong feeling for something, you can be attached to anything. It's perfectly normal as a human being to be attached to people, especially family, because you're raising children, you're in partnership, so those people are very important to you. So realistically, you don't want to get overly unattached, because then it affects the personal connection with the family members. But so when you get something which obstructs you, some kind of attachment, you're holding on to something. It could be anything, to people, to views, to past experiences, maybe something coming up in the future. Try to understand that completely. So we explore it from a full perspective, full 360 degrees, and then you'll actually test it for yourself, and you'll see the mind relax. It'll relax, and then you'll see the peacefulness increase, at least to a small degree, because the purpose of insight, it's insight, if it brings you knowledge, understanding, but it also helps you to let go and become peaceful. So for people, even for example new meditators or intermediate meditators, if you feel that you get peaceful almost every single day you practice, which is maybe a bit much to ask because your lives are very busy, that's quite a good, it's a good experience overall. So you're if you can get peaceful every single day, even though you're working for a living, you've got family, friends, kids, and whatnot, that's quite definitely a quite reasonable level of development. But it demonstrates the level of attachment. If you're really attached to things, you just can't stop thinking about them. You just can't let it go. Was there any questions at all from the audience? This gentleman.
Just a question about. We hear sometimes in. I've heard in my studies about how personality kind of gets in the way when we're meditating and in life. And I'm just wondering about the relationship between personality and the Buddha nature. So, we all kind of have a personality, but do we just lose the attachment to having to be someone or having a really strong sense of self when we're moving towards that more open state? Hopefully that makes some sense.
So if we look at say Buddha, if we take it to the extreme, we look at Buddha nature, say the state of a fully enlightened individual, and so that Buddha nature will be exactly the same for that experience of enlightenment, full enlightenment, is exactly the same for all people, and maybe even potentially devas or Brahma gods, depending on the karma. But the actual fact, there's a slight difference. I won't divert too much, but there's a slight difference there'll be a difference in the faculties, the extent of the wisdom. The enlightenment experience is identical, the nibbana experience is identical, but the personal qualities and characteristics, you'll see differences between people. But so as we're developing the path, so we're people in say in human society, developing the path, but so essentially over time, as you develop your practice, you've got to see where you're stuck. So whatever you're attached to, whatever you cling to, that's basically going to block you. So you're actually you have a responsibility to investigate right there. I mean, if I'm thinking about something after 5 minutes, I go straight to insight. I don't waste my time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, just applying energy with samadhi practice. You go straight to wisdom. But the Buddha, so the Buddha nature. So at all four levels, the enlightenment experience being the same, but it's a matter of your processing your experience, and you see where you're stuck. What am I attached to? What do I love? Don't with people we can lose ourselves when we're really, even the monks can do this. When they're happy, they just can completely lose their perspective and just really roll with this really joyful, happy feeling. But you've got to reflect on that as well. So everything, absolutely everything, because you essentially it's better to be peaceful than to be incredibly happy, because that peacefulness is far more stable, far more has a deeper sense of stability and happiness. Did I miss anything, or did I answer your question? So don't be afraid to, if I miss something. Yeah, you can give your opinions, no problem.
Yeah, I'm just struggling to reconcile impermanence with nature, the nature. The teaching around impermanence is that everything is impermanent. So the self, but if myself and this lady become enlightenment, we're going to still have elements of our personality which are maintained. And I'm just wondering, doesn't that fly in the face of impermanence?
Yeah, it's a matter. You can still. So, for example, the forest masters from Thailand, and I've met quite a few. They definitely have the wisdom is the wisdom and insight is quite strong. The peacefulness, composure, the level of restraint, and the ability, the very, very good sila, very good meditation, the ability to counsel, help. It's all there, but they're not. What you knew previously is that individual, the personality of that person. They don't cling to any of that. They don't say formally. So to give you an extreme example, you could have a person, male or female, who's been married with children. They could have a couple of kids, 2 or 3 kids. Say, for example, even say minimum, say 15, 20 years later, they become fully enlightened through putting forth, incredible effort with the practice. They would be, and they were fully enlightened, they would be completely unattached to their former partner and their children. The intrinsic qualities they have this. It's almost like how can I explain it? It's almost like an unbounded love and compassion for all beings. They don't have, with their children. They may have like past karma with their children because their children have been born to them, but they don't favour their children over other people. There's this evenness. It's like the way they view other beings. There's no favoritism. So within the personality, the level of renunciation is very, very high. So you see this person, they're like a puppet, and you see that you see this like this external behaviour, and you see. So, for example, Ajahn Chah was very dynamic, buoyant. I mean, could just talk and talk and talk all night and early morning. It would teach for hours and hours on end. You know, minimum probably 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a stretch without stopping. But he was, it was absolutely completely unattached to any external phenomena. His personal possessions, his family, his own views and opinions. Even when he came to the West, and he was challenged by even Western academics and even young people. There was no resistance at all. He invited questions, opinions, to be challenged. So you don't see any level of attachment, both externally or internally. Is there any more questions before we finish up? Eddie, you got something, Eddie? You're not sure? He's not sure. Mm. So with what? A problem? Yeah, so yeah, yeah, it can work like in a circle. The feeling stimulates the thought process, which stimulates the feeling, which stimulates the thought. Like your mind can go all over the place. It can go to 100 things, 100 different things. But you'll see this circular process. Thoughts, feelings, or like interconnected. Because without the emotion, without that energy to drive your behaviour, there's no like impotence. There's no driving force. Well, we'll put it this way: you look at the five khandhas. You've got the body, and then the 4 mental elements. You've got the four, say, earth, wind, water, fire, which make up the physical body in the way the Buddha explained, and then you have feelings. Number 2, perception, and then mental formation, which is extended thinking, a full thinking process, rising up into consciousness. No worries, Eddie. Okay, we'll call it a day. Thank you kindly. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagavan Buddham Bhagavanta Abhivade Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho